Christmas, Halloween, Olympics, all okay. 2 Kings 18, 4 through 5. People of the Old Testament Israel, they were confronted again and again with the temptation to worship images. And the reason is because they had many pagan cultures around them that worshiped different gods. Many of them all around the Israelites. And maybe that's one reason that God knew that knowing his people were going to be confronted with this temptation again and again, that God gave the second commandment emphasizing his stand against worshiping images. The one true God, he does not approve. He didn't approve of the Israelites worshiping other gods. No. They were worshiping images, and God did not command them to do. The influence was so strong from the pagans around them with their worship. And so God informed them that, they would be blessed if they would follow his rules, the right way of worship, and also informed them that they would be cursed if they worshiped other gods. Okay, now the people of Israel, they continued to go astray from the Lord again and again. They were worshiping and serving other gods. Now we read about the second commandment, and we need to understand that images themselves are not forbidden. They're not. God does not forbid just having an image, but making an image for the purpose of worshiping in that. Like another god or something that represents another god, that God forbids. And it's very clear in Deuteronomy 5, 8 through 10 about this. And the verse for today, 2 Kings 18, 4 through 5, is even more clear that God does not forbid all images. Only the images that are set up as objects of worship. Now that God forbids. In Numbers 21, 4 through 9, it tells a story where God punished the people of Israel. He sent serpents to them to bite them. Why did he do this? Well, they were complaining against the Lord. And Moses prayed and asked the God, what do we do now after the serpents bit them? And he told Moses to make a serpent, a bronze serpent, and put it up on a pole. And he told the people to look at it. And when they did, they would be healed. Now, that same snake that was put up on the pole, the people of Israel looked at to be healed, that's an image. Is it a bad image? No, it's not. So all images are not bad. Now, the problem is when you're worshiping the image. The reason is because that is a wrong action of worship. You're worshiping another god. Later on, King Hezekiah of the Old Testament, he looked at this same snake that Moses had put up, same snake. He saw it, and the king, what did he do? Well, he destroyed it. And the reason is because the people were worshiping it. Okay, first the people were complaining, the Israelites, the snake bit them, and they needed to look at the image. God commanded them to do this, and they would be healed. God informed them, He told them to look at this. And later the people changed it, and they were worshiping this same image. Same image. So was the image itself bad? No, the image wasn't bad. It was dependent on the people's perspective. It's very clear that God does not forbid making images in themselves. But if we're planning to worship an image, yes, God forbids it. Now, how do we apply this to our Christian life? Well, the Bible teaches that some things are right and other things are wrong. It's dependent on the people's perspective. If the image is something that they're going to look at, and maybe like artwork, for example, people are going to look at it, that's fine. But as long as you're not worshiping, that's okay. But if you're worshiping the image, that's a problem. And people tend to think that, we're not confronted with temptation to worship images. But, really we do this often in our minds. We'll invent something in our minds and our hearts, and we'll set it up, and we'll look at it, and we'll worship it, and that's sin. That's a false god if we're doing that. It's not the God that the Bible explains about. So if you're not worshiping the Lord and you're worshiping something else that's not described in the Word of God, then that's your image. Some people, they believe that Christmas trees inside your home is wrong. They say that's an image. That's from way back when the pagans started that. That's worship, and that's wrong. And other people, they'll say that Halloween, if you're involved in kids and in cute little costumes, having fun, going to a Halloween party, oh, that's wrong. That originated from the pagans a long time ago. Or another thing, they'll say an image of things, really it's dependent on your heart and your perspective. If you're involved in planning to worship any of these things, like a pagan idol, well, yeah, that's a different story. But, is it wrong to watch the Olympic Games on TV? That's from the pagans a long time ago. Is that wrong to do that? No, it's not wrong to watch that. Again, it depends on what's in your heart. If you're watching it and you're worshiping this as an image, that's the different story. We need to be involved in the world. We can't just draw lines at everything that happens. We need to be involved with people out there. That's how we're going to share the gospel. Coram Deo.